policies. From Tel Aviv, Tom Ackerman reports.
Several thousand people gathered peacefully outside Tel Aviv City Hall to vent their grievances. They've come from Eritrea, Sudan, and other sub-Sahara countries. They've escaped war and economic hardship. Yasser Abdallah arrived 3 years ago from the Darfur region of Sudan.
We have genocide, we have war, we have many different problems there. So we come here to need to protect this country.
But the Israeli government calls the 50,000 migrants who crossed into the country through Egypt infiltrators. Though the foreigners may not be legally deported, the government refuses to grant them refugee status. Most of these migrants live in a legal limbo, either subject to 1 year's administrative detention or at best working illegally under what the government calls conditional release, and very few of them entitled to any social services.
Release all the prisoners. Second and biggest thing is to check our asylum request in a fair and transparent way. And third is to give the basic human rights.
But many Israelis think the government is treating the migrants fairly.
I have nothing against them, but we have so many problems of our own. The poverty in Israel is very great.
Meanwhile, a new generation of migrant children is growing up and being educated in Israel. Their hope to be granted a secure place in a country built by refugees. Tom Ackerman, Al Jazeera, Tel Aviv.
Max Blumenthal is the author of Goliath, Life and Loathing in Greater Israel. Joins me now from Washington, D.C. Thank you very much for joining me. You've spent a lot of time there documenting what's going on in Israel. Are you surprised that the African migrants are demonstrating?
I'm impressed by these demonstrations. These are highly organized, incredibly orderly demonstrations by people who are seeking a place in Israeli society, seeking to contribute to this society, and they're barred from doing so. They're prevented from receiving, because they are deemed by the government of Israel a demographic threat, a threat to the Jewish character of Israel. These Africans are non-Jews, and their very presence in Israel threatens the ethnocratic nature of the state, which is premised on the idea of a Jewish demographic majority over non-Jews. And so they've been labeled infiltrators, as Palestinians were right after 1948, and the government is determined to deport every single one of them.
Do you think that they are a threat?
They are indeed a threat to the Jewish character of the state. They threaten to contaminate the ethnic purity of a state which is based on discriminatory foundations. They pose no security threat to the state. Many of them speak Hebrew. Many of them have Israeli friends and relationships with Israelis and want to contribute to this society, and they're barred from doing so because of the idea of the Jewish state, which is discriminatory at its foundations.
Could the government go about it in a different way? And if so, how do you think they could be better used, if I can put it that way, in the country?
The government could honor its obligations under the UN Convention on Refugee Rights, which the Israeli state of Israel is a signatory to, and provide these refugees who fled genocide, war, and poverty with a path to asylum. Unfortunately, there is no path to asylum in Israel for non-Jews, and I think 0.03% of applicants for asylum who are non-Jewish Africans have received it. It's the lowest rate of any Western industrialized country, and it goes to the heart of what the Jewish state is all about.
And those who you spoke to, I mean, do they feel that they would, or that they can contribute and would like to continue to contribute to Israel?
They're currently contributing. They're working menial jobs even though they've been deprived of work permits and social services. And so you have a crisis unfolding in South Tel Aviv where thousands of non-Jewish Africans have been concentrated in one of the poorest parts of the city, in an area that's really under the control of right-wing political parties. There's enormous pressure on the Jewish residents there. There have been race riots against the Africans who are forced to sleep openly in the park without any shelter and have to basically live off of donated food because the state refuses to allow them to work because of the fear that they will assimilate into the society. So it's created a crisis across the country, and the government has chosen to divide people instead of to allow people to kind of unite along class interests. These people share many class interests with Israelis Israeli Jews who have been deprived of economic rights over history.
Thanks for sharing your experience there, Max. Thank you.